Friends, we have seen enough examples with words. Now let us see how to remember numbers. I will teach you how you can remember history dates. Remember, history dates have numbers with them. But our techniques of memory say we must make pictures, sense and special. So here we are going to convert numbers into words to remember better. Let us see how that is done. I am writing here numbers from say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 0. We have all the single digit numbers, and besides each number I am going to write down certain words. For example, besides 1 I am writing nose. Now why nose? Because nose is related to 1. We all have only one nose. Have you ever seen anybody with 3 noses? Not possible. So against 1 I am writing nose. Against 2 I am writing shoes, because we all wear 2 shoes. Or against 2 I can take eyes, or say hands or legs, because we have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs. Against 3 I am writing stumps, because behind the cricketer, when he is playing cricket, there are 3 stumps. So 3 reminds me of stumps. Also against 3 I can take tricycle, because a tricycle has 3 wheels. So against 3 I am writing tricycle. Against 4 I can take a table or a chair, because a table or a chair has 4 legs. Or against 4 I can take say a car, because a car has 4 wheels. Or against table I can take animals, because animals have 4 legs. Against 5 I am taking fingers. Why? Because we all have 5 fingers in our palm. 4 fingers and a thumb, but technically 5 fingers. For 6 I am taking cricketer hitting a 6, because 6 reminds me of a cricketer hitting a 6. Now for 7 I am taking rainbow, because a rainbow has 7 colors. We all know the vibgyor that makes a rainbow. So against 7 I am taking rainbow. For 8 I am taking octopus, because octopus has 8 fangs. So for 8 I am taking octopus. For 9 I am taking planets, because in our solar system there are 9 planets. We all know Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So for 9 I am taking planets. And for 0 I am simply taking an egg, because you cannot visualize any quantity in 0, but an egg looks like a 0. So for 0 I am taking egg. Now friends, what we have done is, for each number in a numerical system we have assigned one word or 2 words or more than that. So whenever the number is flashed, suddenly the word will automatically flash in our mind. Let me revise. 1 is nose. 2 we can take shoes or eyes. 3 we can take stumps or tricycle. 4 we can take table. Table has 4 legs. Chair has 4 legs. And car, because it has 4 wheels. 5 is fingers. 6 is a cricketer's 6. 7 is a rainbow, because rainbow has 7 colors. 8 is octopus, because octopus has 8 fangs or hands. 9 is planets, because there are 9 planets in our solar system. 0 is egg, because egg's shape resembles a 0. Next friends, we will see some dates taken from history, some years and the events, and then we will try to memorize them using this same system. So now we are going to take some examples, but before that let us revise our key. 1 was nose, 2 was shoes, eyes, hands, ears, legs. 3 was tripod, tricycle, stumps. 4 was car, table, chair, a vehicle or a car. 5 was fingers of a palm. 6 was a cricketer's six. 7 was a rainbow. 8 was octopus. 9 was planets, and 0 was egg. Now friends, what I have taken here is I have randomly selected certain dates from history, and I have told you the event that took place on that date. Like for example, in 1933, Hitler becomes the Vice Chancellor of Germany. In 1947, India became independent. In 1945, the United Nations Charter was signed, and in 1929 the Great Depression took place. Now in this case 19 is common, so we may ignore it. We will only take the last 2 digits of each century. Normally we don't forget the century, it is only the last 2 dates and the numbers which are forgotten. And now we shall see how this memory techniques comes into force. For example, in 33, Hitler becomes the Vice Chancellor of Germany. Now 3 reminds me of a tricycle, and the next 3 reminds me of stumps. We know 3 can be for tricycle also, and 3 can be of stumps also. So just form a casual picture that when Hitler became the Vice Chancellor, he was driving a tricycle and he was having a stump in his hand. So whenever the year 1933 is flashed in your mind, you will immediately remember of Hitler, because 3 is tricycle, 3 is stumps. So you will know that Hitler became the Vice Chancellor in 1933. Next, India became independent in 1947. Now 4 will remind you of a car, because a car has 4 wheels, and 7 will remind you of a rainbow, because a rainbow has 7 colors. Visualize when India became independent, the Indians were so happy that they took their cars and started flying in the sky towards the rainbow. Now technically I know it makes no logic, but I told you whatever is special, whatever is unique, whatever is different will help you remember better. So whenever you are asked when was India independent, immediately it will strike in your mind, okay, when India was independent, people took their cars and went on a rainbow, went towards the sky. Now car will remind you it is 4, because car has 4 wheels, and rainbow will remind you it is 7, because rainbow has 7 colors. That means 4 and 7. India became independent in 1947. Similarly, in 1945 the UN Charter was signed. How do you remember? Visualize when the UN Charter was signed, people got up from their table and started shaking each other's hands. When the United Nations Charter was signed, people got up from the table. Table will remind you it is 4, because a table has 4 legs, and started shaking each other's hands. Hands will remind you 5, because there are 5 fingers in our hand. This reminds us that the UN Charter was signed in 1945. And finally friends, the Great Depression took place in 1929. How do you visualize? 2 will remind you of shoes, because we have 2 shoes in our feet, and 9 will remind you of planets. Visualize when the Great Depression hit our planet on Earth, there were no jobs. So people wore their shoes and searched for jobs in other planets. People packed up with their shoes and went to other planets in search for a job. Now I know it's not possible to go on other planets for a job, but you can visualize anything, make it special to remember better. So whenever in the exam they ask you when was the Great Depression, your mind will start thinking that during the Great Depression people wore their shoes, which will remind you of 2, and went to another planet, which will remind you of 9. So the Great Depression took place in 1929. Let us quickly recall the list. When Hitler became the Vice Chancellor, he was sitting on a tricycle with a stump in his hand. Tricycle is 3, stump is 3, so 1933. When India became independent, people took their cars and went off towards the rainbow. Car is 4, rainbow is 7, so 1947. When the UN Charter was signed, people got up from the table and started shaking hands. Table is 4, hands will remind you 5. And the Great Depression, when it hit our economy, people wore their shoes and searched for jobs in other planets. Shoes is 2, planets is 9. So the Great Depression hit our economy in 1929. Like this, friends, you can remember many dates, events and other places of interest in history using this technique.